Hello, friends. I'm here. Another edition of Unfiltered Podcast. This is dated December 5th, 2022. Checking in because, I'm here asking myself and others on this Monday afternoon now. So I get a break from work real quick, but I'm here asking myself, is a tie really better than a loss? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Is a tie really better than a loss? Because... And I'm referring obviously to the New York Giants, my New York Giants, tying the Washington Commanders 20-all. Don't feel really good about the game, coming out of it. Again, not a loss. So that's a good thing. We haven't won a game in 3 weeks now. And, it was a huge game, obviously, in terms of playoff implications, because, Washington's hanging out by what half game behind us for playoff spot there. The good thing I've been saying for the last couple of weeks, that the only good thing about the Giants, right now in terms of the schedule and their playoff position currently, is that at least there isn't a bunch of teams vying for spots. Like you would need like Green Bay and a couple of teams that have 5 wins to really go on a heater at this point, and the likelihood of that happening is slim to none. But yeah, does a tie feel better than a loss? Is it better than a loss? Yeah, obviously it is, but at the same time, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel great. And a couple of from that game, like I said, when we look at the schedule a few weeks back, going into this tough part of the schedule, Washington twice, Philly twice, Minnesota in there, there's an Indy in there, that we were saying that the Giants had to have baked in 8 wins. They got 7 wins baked in before the stretch started. I do feel decent about the playoff chances. I'm still kind of 50-50 on it because, again, the schedule. Seattle's the only other team right now that's battling for a playoff spot with us. Or with them. Us. I'm like a part of the team or something, And they squeaked out a win against the Rams yesterday. A Rams team that's depleted with injuries. No Stafford, no Cooper Kupp, no. I don't think Aaron Donald played yesterday either. So I don't know. 5 weeks ago in the season, the big takeaway for me is this: I think the Giants need to open it up now with Daniel Jones. You saw yesterday at the end of the game when they got desperate, they had to open things up. Daniel Jones did get the ball down the field. Slayton caught a couple passes. Slayton dropped a pass that could have set Giants up for field goal to win the game at the end of regulation. I know there is definitely distrust when it comes to the coaching staff and Daniel Jones, and I get that. Given his tendencies throughout his career to turn the ball over a lot. But at the same time, if you are at a point where you look, first of all, the Giants made a house money for starters. They shouldn't even have 7 wins this year. I said before the year started, if they got 7 wins before the season started, that was actually their ceiling. But they got to open it up. They got to open it up at this point. You can't keep playing safe football. Saquon hasn't played that great in the last couple of weeks, and to his credit, teams are keen on him. So it's up to Daniel Jones to really he is the person that can make or break this team in the next 5 weeks. So Dave Ball and the coaching staff has to really open things up for Daniel Jones moving forward. That just has to happen now. There's no way. I don't think they can sustain playing this safe, efficient football. And Daniel Jones was efficient yesterday. He was very efficient, but at the same time, he's gonna open things up. And and look, if you don't believe in this kid, it's fine. After this year, you move off him. You get another quarterback. You draft quarterback. I don't know what you do, but at this point, you have to take a chance. Take some chances down the field. So other than that, rest of the league yesterday, what stood out for the rest of the league? Let me see here. Like I said, going down the league, I want to go too much into the weeds right now. What happened yesterday in the NFL? Minnesota winning barely over the Jets. The Jets losing yesterday, despite losing yesterday, I think that's a good loss for the Jets, honestly. I think the Jets, I don't think when we do the power rankings tomorrow on the Huddle Up podcast, They were in my top 10 last week. I haven't finalized my top 10 yet, but I just don't see argument for them being out of it at this point, because they had one of the best losses yesterday of the teams that lost. Came back late, had a chance to win it late. I'm actually a more believer in this Jets team now with Mike White at quarterback as opposed to Zach Wilson. Let's just say that. Eagles, big win against Tennessee. Good Tennessee team, but what's funny, this is why this Philadelphia team is dangerous now too, especially because they had the little bit of a blunt, I don't call it slump. They lost one game, a couple of games where they almost lost to Indy too. On top of that, but the thing that make the Eagles so really good now, as you've seen in the last couple of weeks, is that they got through that, okay, and now they're back to pick up the pace again, as good as they were before the first half of the year. And look, Tennessee's not a great team, obviously, but they're a good team. When you beat a good team by 25 points, that says a lot. So that's a big win for the Eagles there. Honestly, I think they are still the class in the NFC. Baltimore barely getting by Denver. Obviously, Lamar Jackson gets hurt. It's not a season-ending injury, thank God. When we'll be back, I don't know. But I think at this point, Baltimore is probably, even though they are in first place technically by virtue of the tiebreaker in the in the matchup against Cincinnati, I think the Bengals right now are at this point the better team right now. I mean, if you ask right now who's winning the division, who's the better team in position to compete for a Super Bowl, I will still say the Cincinnati Bengals at this point. Deshaun Watson making his first start in 2 years. In a win against Houston. Boo Birds across the way. He was very rusty as well, as I predicted, of course. But Cleveland still won the game, of course. The Niners continue to roll despite losing Jimmy G for the season. And I think even without Jimmy G, they'll be fine. I think Brock Purdy, a.k.a. Mr. Irrelevant, is look. This team is not built around Jimmy G anyway. I mean, they won games. They've gone to Super Bowls despite Jimmy G. Jimmy G is an average quarterback. We saw some production with Brock Purdy yesterday. I do also trust Kyle Shanahan to get the job done. So as long as Brock Purdy plays within the offense, they have the weapons too on top of that. Against a really good Miami team this past Sunday. I'm still pretty high on the Niners. I really am. They have the next man up mentality, which I like. Look, if you ask me, will they beat the Eagles? No. But are they in that conversation? Yes. But I still think the Niners are dangerous. I still think the Niners are still a top 5 team in the league, even without Jimmy G. Because again, it was not about Jimmy G. It was about the pieces around him, and those guys playing hard for him. And I think they'll play hard for Brock Purdy as well too. It's just that culture they've cultivated in San Francisco now, next man up mentality, which I like. That's why I still believe in the Niners. Obviously, as I mentioned, the Bengals, big win against the Chiefs. Not a surprise they won the game. I said on the pod last week that was one of my locks of the week, that the Bengals would beat the Chiefs. Chiefs were due for a letdown, and they actually were. It was a good game. Something about the Chiefs, apparently the Bengals, when they play the Chiefs can't seem to beat the Bengals. Joe Burrow is 3-0 against Patrick Mahomes, but then he's 0-3 against the Browns. Riddle me that. I think Cincinnati is now elevated now officially to the back to the Super Bowl conversation now. They have arguably the best roster in the AFC. I love the balance of that team, though, they got Jamar Chase back, and you saw immediately the impact of Jamar Chase in that game. Just being there alone, 97 yards, seven catches. The Bengals are back in that conversation of a Super Bowl. I trust them more than the Ravens. I mean, right now, if you look at the top AFC teams, Buffalo, of course, and KC's in there, but then that to me, after that, it's Cincinnati. It's Cincinnati, and they're that good. What else did I miss yesterday? I didn't watch the Cowboys game last night. So here's a story of the Cowboys game last night before we get out of here. So last night, I decided to watch the Cowboys game. So sometime around 10:45, 11 o'clock last night, I decided to check the score on my phone because I was busy doing other things. And it was 21-19, Dallas. I'm like, oh, this is a close game. But I was still not motivated to watch the game anyway, even with that. So turned off the phone, and I figured, got back to what I was doing earlier. And then about maybe 15, 20 minutes later, I turned on the score again. It was like 33-19. Like, oh, never mind. And then just score again, it's 40-something to 19. I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous. The Cowboys are really good. They're really good. And if we're talking about teams in the NFC, like who's competing with the Eagles top tier, to me, it's a 3-team race between, I still think, Super Bowl tiers. It's Cowboys, it's Eagles, it's Niners. I'm still do not trust the Vikings, unfortunately, for Viking fans. Despite the record. And, like I said, the Cowboys I'm looking forward to that Dallas Philly game in a couple weeks. Cannot wait for that one. That should be fun. But, like I said, we're starting to see teams fall into the characteristics now. We're starting to see teams settle in as it's this final stretch of the season. We've got 5 weeks to go. Playoffs around the corner. This season's gone really fast. And look, even though there's a lot of really, 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 really good teams, the Super Bowl race is as open as ever been. Like, there's no, you can't pencil in or shoehorn any teams at this point now. Any team is viable to win it at this point. You can go 7-8 teams deep of teams that can realistically win a Super Bowl this year, and it wouldn't sound silly. So, anyway, that's it for me on today's Unfiltered podcast. Check out the main podcast, Earn Speak podcast. I'm gonna do one tomorrow, most likely. A lot to talk about. So until then, we will talk soon. God bless you guys, and we'll talk later.